Hey, 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 Fit Mama. Jen Oliver here, your host of the Fit Mama podcast. This is the work in to your workout. Hey, Fit Mama, and welcome to today's interview with Samantha. Samantha Montpetit-Huynh is the mother of two incredibly talented and beautiful girls. She is a pre- and postnatal core and pelvic floor rehab coach with over 15 years in the industry and helps moms reconnect, feel strong, and love their bodies again. She's at samcoretrainer.com. Sam is also one of the co-founders of Bellies Inc., the creators of the Ab Tank Complete System that I always talk about on social media. It is the most comprehensive holistic system that combines restorative exercises and abdominal wrapping to help women build core confidence from pregnancy through motherhood. Sam is known extensively in her field and has appeared on breakfast television, CTV News, Canada AM, CHCH, and Rogers Daytime. She was also the resident fitness expert on the Marilyn Dennis show. If you ever saw her on there, she's awesome. She's just amazing, to be honest. She was on that show from 2013 to 2017, so she had a good run on there. What she's done for women in the core and postpartum rehab area is second to none. And I'm so excited to bring her expertise to the Fit Mama podcast for this episode of the Work In to Your Workout. I hope you enjoy. And here we are on live with Samantha. Sam, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Oh, I am so excited. Whenever I get talking to you, I know that it could be hours will pass by.
Because I won't stop talking.
Yeah, you as much as me. So we'll try and keep this one to time. I love everything that you talk about. I've been following you myself now it is going on 5 years, if you can believe it. So that is crazy right there. Yeah, I've been a huge fan of yours. And I know so many of our listeners are probably already following you, but we will link up all your details in the show notes. So anyone who wants to find you and follow you, you are at Sam Core Trainer on Instagram, which is how I've felt like I've gotten to know you very well over the last few years after I took some training. So let's get into a little bit about your story. You are among two others who founded, the three of you, Bellies Inc. many years ago. So take us back to that time, Sam.
Yeah, so that was 2010.
Wow.
Holy cow. That's almost 10 years ago. That's crazy to think about it. But so my two business partners, Julia DePaulo is a pelvic health physio here in Toronto, Ontario. And Kim Vopney is also, she's a personal trainer like myself. So she's actually, that's what her education and background is, but that's really not what she does anymore. She does more education and more specifically pelvic health, working to help prepare women's bodies for pregnancy and birth and recovery. And she's known as a vagina coach. Mm-hmm. But I want to say it was probably in 2009 then, oh my God, about 10 years ago, I got an email from Kim saying, I would love to meet you. We talk about the same things because back then I was talking about diastasis recti, so separation of the rectus abdominis. I was talking about that all over. I did a big media campaign on TV and everything, and she saw me. She said, I really want to reach out to you. So we got together and we started talking because at the time she was selling this product called the Epino, and that's to help prepare your perineum for birth. And so we got together, and so to fast track, we started talking, and then we were working together a little bit, and then we found out we kept getting referrals from this woman named Julia DePaulo, and we're like, who is she? Where is she? Can't find her. You still will actually kind of have a hard time finding her online because she's kind of old school. She just works in clinic here in Toronto, but she was sending these people to us, and then so fast forward a year, we finally got together, and we found out that the stuff that Kim and I were currently doing when it came to diastasis recti, a lot of it was working, but some of it had to change. And we're finding that with our own experience with our clients that there was a missing link. And then Julia came in And she was a pelvic health physio, and she said, well, wait a second, because we're missing the pelvic floor. And we're like, oh, who knew? Who knew that was a thing? I mean, we knew that was a thing because we're all moms, but who knew that that was such a direct coalition with trying to treat diastasis? So again, fast forward another year, we said, as we're working with people and we're working with our colleagues were coming to us and saying, you know what, we want to know what you know, because what I'm doing with my clients isn't working. So we ended up creating a product to help heal the diastases, and then we created programs for other health and wellness professionals to teach them about diastases and pelvic health and how to work with that demographic, which is basically everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
But more specifically, at the time it was mothers, pregnant women, and just the first 8 weeks postpartum. And now it's, we have, we teach every year. We come together once a year in Toronto here at the CanFit Pro conference, because since then Kim has moved back to Vancouver. And we've created products. So we have the ab system that pregnant women buy, to help prepare for the recovery while still pregnant. But we also have the education side, and we also have our courses online. So we kind of, we have things for the consumer, we have things for the health and wellness expert, because we're really trying to,
both sides.
All bases. Yeah.
Which is how I got introduced to you. I first heard you guys speak at CanFit Pro many, many moons ago now. And, that was one of the first times I myself had heard about this pelvic floor and how it was connected to the diastasis and how, the inner unit worked. And I just remember it absolutely blew my mind. And I thought, nobody talks about this, right? Which I'm sure you've run into millions of times since then.
Yes.
So take us back a little bit here, Sam. I want you to go back to what you said earlier about, your colleagues and trainers and different people in the industry, because I was one of those that was sort of saying, hey, this isn't working. Take us back to what this isn't working means to you. Because there's a lot of people out there still doing the stuff that isn't working. And I want to kind of highlight what that is.
Yes. So I think a big part, we have a mantra that says you need to retrain before you train. And even though we've come far from 10 years ago, for sure. I mean, if you go anywhere, you put in diastasis recti, you put pelvic floor dysfunction, leaking, anything, all kinds of stuff comes up. But there's still, I think, there's still people who know what they're talking about, and there's still a lot of people who don't know what they're talking about. And there was actually, I'm just going to go on a short little rant here. I was on Instagram yesterday, and a woman's account was shut. She shut her account down, and she was a big influencer, had over like 11K followers, because she had said something about she had made the comment that you could prevent diastases. She referred to diastases as having front butt.
Oh dear.
And so with the body positive movement, and even regardless of body positive movement, people are very hypersensitive, which is, it's sad, but in a way it's like, I guess it's what's necessary to stop with the body shaming. And so she got a lot of negative flack, and she had to take her account down, but she was trying to say that she was an expert in diastases. So, back then and still currently, there's a lot of, even though people know about it, you've got these people who are just doing their own research online and thinking that they're an expert in teaching people. So I think what's not working is people trying to figure it out on their own and not finding the right research and not connecting with the right people. People going way too hard, way too fast, because doctors are still telling them, or their OBs or some midwives, not midwives so much, but more the medical community, at 6 weeks, you're fine. Go back to your regular exercise. Just be careful. Well, what does that mean?
Exactly. Especially to an athlete. I don't know if you saw the Serena Williams special. Did you ever see her? She has like a mini series.
I love her though.
I love her the most. And I saw this on my flight that I was on. I took a flight recently where they had the Serena special. So I watched it back to back. And that's the exact advice, Sam, that they gave her in 2017 when she had her baby at 6 weeks. They said after she almost died of blood loss and clots and the whole thing, they said, oh yes, go back, just be safe, go back to all your stuff. Like, this is Serena. She just freaking won Wimbledon. And go back at 6 weeks to all the things. Like, I almost lost my marbles on this plane.
Yes.
because I'm like, I'm going, how is this still in 2017 told by doctors and midwives to a person after 6 weeks giving birth and a very traumatic C-section birth to say, hey, go back and just do whatever, just be careful. What do you say to that?
So their argument will be, well, we told her to be careful, but there was no guideline.
No.
You know what careful is
to an Olympic athlete? Yeah.
Training. Like, there was no guideline, there's no prescription, there's no nothing.
No.
As you know, instead of being open and saying, you know what? We really now need to find you the experts in the field that you need. We need to get you on the right path. So that's why, again, like I said, our mantra is retrain before you train.
Yeah.
Even if you're an athlete, even if you exercise up until the hour before you delivered.
Yeah.
Everybody has to start at base camp now.
Yes.
Because you are an athlete.
Yes.
Maybe you will probably progress quicker than somebody who is completely sedentary.
Right.
Maybe not. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody's a case, but you can't give a cookie cutter approach. And I think that's really where the system is failing.
Yeah.
And why we're still having a problem with this. Because even though people know, they don't know who to listen to.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk to us a little here about what you mean by that mantra, because I would love for, some details to come out around that. What does it mean to retrain before you train? So if I'm an athlete or if I've never exercised before, either or, it doesn't matter. Where do I go from that time when I've just had my baby or, I'm lost? And even if I'm 5-10 years postpartum, I'm still not sure. Talk to us about that.
Well, the first thing I would do is I would highly recommend is every single person, especially if you've had a baby, and I'm talking about females here, but men too, for sure, if they've had any issues, to see a pelvic floor physiotherapist.
Yes.
Because when we're talking about, obviously, what is the part of the body that's had the biggest impact from pregnancy and birth? It is your pelvic floor and your abdominals.
Definitely.
But also the biggest misconception is that if you've had a cesarean, your pelvic floor is fine, it's safe.
Yes, I get that so often, yes. And so obviously that is not the case.
No, it's not the case because your body still went through all the same physiological changes, the same hormonal changes. There was the same weight on your pelvic floor during those 9 months of pregnancy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, you might have labored already for a few hours before you had a C-section, but even if not, even if it was a scheduled birth, you still had all the same structural changes and pressures and everything on the pelvic floor. So then if you had a cesarean, then you had major abdominal surgery.
Yeah, huge. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So basically what I'm saying is first see if you have access to, because not everybody has access to a pelvic floor physiotherapist, but they really need to connect to their deep core.
Yeah.
Or if somebody who's an athlete and did do it during pregnancy, they did all the right things, they need to reconnect to their deep core. They need to find what that is. So your core, and you know this because you took our training, is the diaphragm, so that's your breathing muscle, your transverse abdominis, which is your deepest abdominal muscle, your multifidus, which are deep spinal muscles, and the pelvic floor. And the pelvic floor is the foundation. It's the bottom of your core. So if you don't connect, if you don't know how it works, if you don't know how it's functioning and if it's functioning properly, then you're at a disadvantage of really making sure that your core is working. And just the word core, like what is the core? Well, it's central, just like the core of an apple. So if you don't have a strong functioning core, then it's almost like everything on top can suffer as a result.
Yes.
Right? So, and women who do go back to exercise too quickly, or I do my Kegels, I'm fine, but are you doing your Kegels properly? Should you even be doing Kegels at all? Because you might not be doing Kegels because the muscles at our pelvic floor are like every other muscle in our body. So they can be too loose, but they can also be too tight.
Yes, right? Which is a big issue. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and the thing is, I'm finding even more and more as I'm talking to my clients that I work with, more and more women are hypertonic, so their muscles are too tight. It's not an issue of them being too loose or too weak.
Yes, and this is common with athletes. Would you say that's more?
I would say because I would say athletes in general, their muscles are all super tight because they're used to pushing and blah blah blah, and we don't practice what we preach, right? So stretch like we tell people, but they don't stretch, right? Unless maybe they are training for something, then they're stretching, but when they're off season, maybe not. And it's a fact that you hold tension in your pelvic floor.
Yes.
So, exercise is a form of stress on your body. Being stressed, and especially if you're talking to women and especially moms, they're under stress all the time.
All the time.
So, if they don't know how their core is actually working from the inside, it's really hard to ask the rest of your body to perform properly if you don't have a strong foundation.
Yes, so true. And that, that really segues nicely into where I kind of want to go with this a little on in terms of stress, not only the physical stress, but as you said, moms in general, we're stressed. We're balancing a whole load of stuff, right? All the stuff at the home, the family, and then work commitments most often related to that or outside of that. There are so many things that we have in our lives to balance and to juggle and to pretty much maintain some type of level that we as women, and often I know the ones you work with and I work with both, are quite high achievers, would you say?
Yes.
So I want to dive in a little bit into sort of the mentality of being a high achiever. And I know you've been a personal trainer for well over a couple decades and worked with clients and especially moms for so long. Talk to us a little bit about the physical things that you're seeing that tend to come from emotional and outside related stressors.
The physical things. Well, absolutely a lot of muscle tightness, like I talked about already. Lots of pain. So there's a movie, you've probably watched it already, but my girlfriend just told me about it, called Heal on Netflix.
I haven't seen that, no.
Yeah, it's all about Eastern medicine.
Ooh, that's my game.
And how it cures, a whole bunch of things. And, pretty much everything. But I find that high achievers, type A's like myself, so I can totally relate to this.
Exactly.
Right? When you do this, and it's gonna stop you at some point. So whether you get injured, whether you get sick, whether you have a nervous breakdown, whatever it is, when we don't take the time for self-care, when we don't take the time to take a step back and breathe, when we don't take the time to actually say, you know what? I've been doing this over and over and over and over again. Like, what's the term? Oh my God, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different. How many times I've said to women, okay, so how's this working for you?
Yes.
Right? But they'll say, but I can't do this right now. I can't justify. You know how many women have said to me over the years, I can't justify doing this for myself.
Yes.
What?
I know. It's so tough. So, because a lot of us are in that mentality that, and I think that's a really good word. I use that a ton with my clients too, because it is, they do need to justify something. And if it's not something that's like the pot is boiling over and going to make a big issue, we just let it simmer, right? We go, put that to the back burner, move it away. I don't have time for this. And it even goes so far as when we want to get, quote unquote, get our body back after we have babies, we go for the hardest, biggest bang for our buck, jumping, sprinting, lifting. What do you do in that case? How do you really help people justify? Because I know I'm doing the same game in so many ways. It's like, how do you get them to realize the value of breathing and slowing down and those little self-care things that don't feel like a big beat up at the gym?
Well, when I work with my clients online, just like you, a lot of it is I would say more and more of it is becoming mindset, right?
Yeah.
Because when they become so attached to this, I've got to go.
Yes.
But then I give them work that they have to do. And so they've made sure that they've gone out and killed themselves in the gym, or they've made sure that, they've counted all their macros or whatever.
Right.
But when I've asked them just to journal for 5 minutes, a lot of the times they will finally admit to me, or they say, I don't know what to say. I can't find the words. And then I'll say to them, what would you say to your kid? Right? And that's a lot of times that's very powerful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when very often I have clients who, they end up becoming very emotional and they'll cry with me over the phone and they'll say, I feel like a failure. I haven't done this, even though they've accomplished all kinds of things.
Yeah.
but because they haven't accomplished everything at the set point that they thought in their head that they were going to get it, and it's not happening fast enough and all these other things, and they're not taking account that, okay, what you did when you were 20 doesn't work now that you're 45.
Right.
Like, let's be realistic.
Totally.
When they're beating themselves up, I'll say to them, okay, well, if your kid were to come and say to you, oh, mommy, I didn't do this, what would you say to them? Would you call them a failure? No. Would you say, no? I said, what'd you say to them?
Good one.
And then they go, oh, I would say this. I said, and that's what you're going to write down.
Compassion. That's beautiful for themselves. And that's so hard for us, right? We beat ourselves up.
Absolutely. Like the second, it's amazing how when I'll talk to women and we'll just be in a conversation and be, oh my God, I was so stupid. I couldn't be doing it. And I said, what'd you just say? And they don't even hear it coming out of their mouth. It's so automatic.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you and I both know that that is something that's so deeply ingrained in their subconscious. It's just part of their language.
Yes.
And you're walking around and you're saying that to yourself, and you've got little ears, even big ears. I mean, I've got a 14 and a 17-year-old around me. And I think I've done a pretty good job because I never heard them say negative things about themselves.
Awesome.
We don't own a scale. Actually, the last time I took my 17-year-old to the doctor, and it was for something, they said, oh, have her step on the scale. And I thought, why? Because it had nothing to do with her weight or something else. And she came into the waiting room. I was like, how much do you weigh? She's like, 145. And she kind of rocked it. And I was like, wow. Do you know of another teenage girl who would walk into a waiting room and announce her weight and smile?
Yes, that's huge, Sam.
I was like, you're awesome.
Yeah. And, you know, I'd love to touch on that for a second, because first of all, let's give you a huge round of applause, because that is serious. You know, that's nothing to just scoff at, because, you know, now more than ever with social media, I mean, I have 2 daughters. They're a little behind yours. Mine are just 7 and 5, but it's around the bend where they're going to absolutely be exposed to all the things. And, you know, how has that journey been for you, knowing what you know, working with clients? I mean, after working with clients as long as we have, you know, you just almost expect that there's going to be body image issues because they're female. And that is something that is so beautifully unexpected to hear. And I really, really want to hear about this.
Yeah, I was like so pleasant. I was so proud of myself, and I wanted to jump up and down in that doctor's office, but you know, she would have killed me through 17. But anyways, that's another podcast, how to deal with 17-year-olds. But anyways, so I'd have to say that, you know, when I work with my clients, I have, you know, questionnaires of what are you hoping to achieve? What do you want? How do you want to feel? It's not like, you know, a lot of them will put, I want to lose X number of weight, but then I say, why? Why do you want to feel like, why do you want to do this? Why? Right? Because if they don't know why they want to accomplish this goal, they'll accomplish it. But then it's still, if they haven't figured out why, it's not really going to give them what they desire, right?
No.
And a lot, I would say more often than not, it's, I want to set a good example for my kids. I want to be that, like, so a lot of women are very in tune to how the way they talk to themselves, the way they treat themselves, even the way they look at themselves, right? Because we know actions speak louder than words, right? Their kids are watching and they're listening and they're seeing how we treat ourselves, the way that we look ourselves in the mirror, the way we change our clothes and we keep going, oh, I don't like the way that looks online. You know, that sort of attitude. So it's really important that, I mean, I find that a very positive thing that I like. And I remind women of that when they're doing this, when they're going through this journey, because when you try to make any change, right? And I'm really the same as you. I want to transform women's lives. And it's not about transforming their bodies. It's not about transforming. I mean, if that's what they want, good for them. But I really want, it's their life. How are they feeling in their life, in their inside, in their heart, in their world, everything around them, when they can remember why they're doing it and then set that example, because social media is a beast. And I know for myself, ever since, because I had a lot of body image issues when I was young, and there was no, you know, there was magazines and stuff like that, right? We just had magazines and TV. There was no phones, and I don't know. I would have had such a rough time. I keep saying myself, but words like fat, skinny, stuff like that. I've never been like in when we're talking about our bodies.
Yeah.
Never was allowed in my home ever.
Yeah.
I always use strong, healthy.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that, right?
So great.
I've never been, don't eat that.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to have some more vegetables.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that sort of thing. And just being very conscious of the way I speak to my kids. And one time, only once, had my 17-year-old at the time, she was about, I wonder if she was like 8 or 9. She came home one day and she was like leaning up at the edge of the bathtub in the bathroom, and she said, "Mommy, am I fat?" And I was just like, I just looked at her kind of like, I didn't get all upset like, whoa, or anything. I just looked at her and I was like, what? Right? Kind of like she's crazy.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Well, so-and-so, this girl, said you're supposed to be able to touch your finger and your thumb, so your index finger and your thumbs around your waist."
What?
And I just looked at her like she had two, and I was like, so where are your, like, is your, like, all your insides, your guts, your intestines, your bones? I said, where's that supposed to be?
Yeah.
And she kind of went, oh, and I said, doesn't that sound like the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard of? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. I said, she can go back to school and just tell her she was really silly. And that was it. It was first and last time. Like, she just thought, like, oh, that's so dumb. Like,
yeah. Good. It made her question it. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't want to go through a whole, like, well, let's sit down and talk about, right? Like,
well, then it makes a big deal of it.
Yeah,
and it gives it energy, right? Which you were giving it no time and energy with that. No. Such a silly dismissal was perfect. That's such a great point. And then you know what that did too was highlight that she heard this information, was given this information by a peer, which usually is like, we believe everything our peers tell us, especially at that age. But then, But then you gave her the option to question that, see how silly it was. And immediately from that point on, did she always doubt what everybody, her peers were saying probably, right? And say, hey, that deserves questioning.
Exactly.
So good.
To question everything that you're like, think about it for a second. Does that sound right? Does it sound logical at all? You know, I was like, where's your food going to go? And she was like, oh. I remember looking at me like, yeah, you got a good point, right? And I shook my head when she left, and I thought, wow, like I've heard it all.
Yeah, right. Well, I know, and the statistics out there that I think it's as young as 8-year-olds now have started dieting and, you know, posting nude photos online. So that those are some scary statistics right there for sure.
So scary.
Oh, yeah, absolutely it is. So, you know, I really love what you stand for, and I know that you are so almost holistic in the approach that you take with women, because yes, you're talking about their fitness, their physical appearance and physical function, but then you see how much deeper it goes and how interconnected the mind and the body are. So,
for sure.
I mean, you are such a wealth of wisdom, and I want to extract more of that out of you today, because I just love hearing you talk about the things you talk about. So you touched a little earlier on getting into the why for women. And I think that's so valuable that you do that, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen women who, you know, they have a real goal to get into those skinny jeans or lose weight or, you know, have the pants that they fit into when they were 20, like you said, but the realistic nature of that. And, you know, it's not that they couldn't achieve anything, but it's about why. Why is that so important to you? So what do you get from these women? Like, what, you know, other than they want to be a role model for their kids, which I love that that's really their deep why. You know, how do you help women bridge that gap from the superficial into that depth of their why? From that point of, you know, when they're just so hung up on the physical or the scale.
Well, like I said earlier, I really think that doing a lot of mind coaching with them, doing, like I have them, you know, write out affirmations, doing the journaling, and everybody is different, right? Like, again, it's not a cookie cutter approach. But I'll find a lot of times, every time we talk, because I do weekly coaching calls with my clients, when, say, for example, so I had a woman, she's a client of mine who lives in Australia.
Okay.
And I've been working with her for about a month. Yeah. And she sent me a long email, and she had said, you know, I don't know what's wrong. why I can't lose weight. I've done this before. And I remember when she first signed on, she was worried. She said, because I've done this all before and it doesn't work. And I said, well, what have you done? She goes, well, I bought programs online. I've done this and it doesn't work. I said, okay, well, have you ever worked with a coach? No. I said, okay, so then you haven't done it all before. But she had already, almost created her fate in the beginning.
Yeah.
So, but then she decided she was going to work with me, and she said, I don't understand. And, there's different factors as to why she hasn't moved as quick as she's wanted to.
Yeah.
But then she said, she goes, but, I did lose 2 centimeters off my waist, but, and I said, but what?
Yeah.
And she said, well, but I still haven't lost any weight. And I was like, well, but do you want to lose inches? And she said, yeah. And I said, but so how many inches do you want to lose? I want to lose. So you have to start somewhere. And so then and then the more and more we were talking, she goes, well, I was talking to a girlfriend earlier and she started to cry. And she said, I feel like a failure. And I said to her, do you feel that you're worth this? And she said, no. And I said, what point did you feel like you can't do this, that somehow or you failed? And it just, it came down to the fact that her husband works all the time. He's never available.
Yeah.
She does everything on her own. She lives in a place where she's not happy, where she doesn't have any family or support. And she almost feels like she was given a raw deal, and that she needs to suck it up and be the person, right? Because she also feels that because she doesn't work, that she should just be, just be a good housewife.
Right.
And so I find that she's just one example, but I find that when I bring this stuff to the surface and I remind her that her value is just as important as anybody else's.
Yes.
I mean, we know the term, how it, goes, happy wife, happy life, happy mom, all that other stuff.
Right.
Those cute little terms. But it really comes down to, if she can't find the belief in herself and the value in herself, it is really, she can't be there 100% because she's frazzled all day. She says she's running out the door every day, yelling at her kids.
Yeah.
Kids are, barely on time for school, coming home. Her house is a disaster because she hasn't connected with the deeper self, that realizing that if she can't know that she is worth it to take the time, she can't, she's haphazard with everybody. And I almost believe, because I remember being at that point, I think everybody to a certain degree, especially when my babes were young, I resented everyone else around me because I felt that I didn't have the time for myself. But that's a choice.
That is a choice.
We all have choices, right? Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you can only lead people to that, but they have to come to this realization themselves.
Right.
That there are consequences for every choice that they make, whether it's good or bad. And every time there's something in front of them, she can make a choice to do this or do that. Yeah. But then for her to beat herself up over that choice, again,
That's
she
tough.
can change that choice again the next day.
Yes. So how do you help women wrap their minds and hearts around their value? Because I think as women, in general, or moms, especially stay-at-home moms or moms that don't have a lot of, let's say, support other than financial from their spouse, they really do feel like, well, I'm not bringing in the money, so I'm not of as great value. Or I've let myself go and gained X number of pounds or inches, and now I'm not worthy to lose those, right? Where do you begin those conversations with your women?
Well, I mean, again, starting with the, why do you want to do this? How is this going to make you feel? How will your life be different if you achieve these goals? What are you hoping to accomplish? Like you had said, I want to get into these skinny jeans. Well, how are you going to feel when you get into the skinny jeans?
Yes.
Is that going to change anything else that's going on in your head right now?
Yes.
Because if not,
great point.
You can go whatever. Exactly. Right. But what you had also touched on about the support is finding that support team. So when I work with my clients, it's just not me. Yeah. Because I only work with them once a week, one-on-one. Now they do have access to me via Facebook Messenger if they ever need me. Right. But I really, really, really believe that women need, I don't know, you can call it a tribe. Some people don't like that term. Whatever that means, they need a group. They need a community. They need that constant support to know that there's others just like them. Yeah. And I also am a big believer that I mean, and I think this is part of our DNA, right? As moms and women, we always want to help support others. And why do we do that? Because it feeds our soul when we do that.
Totally. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if they're in a community of other women who are all trying to reach a certain goal, change a certain habit, whatever that is, and they can be amongst those women, I really believe that makes a big difference. And I mean, so for example, that client I was talking to you about in Australia, she, with the 2 centimeters, I said, you need to post that in the group. Oh no, earlier she said, she goes, that's why I haven't been posting in the group, because there's nothing to celebrate. And I was like, you lost 2 centimeters off your waist.
Yeah. You
need to post that in the group. She posted in the group and she had like 20 women going, oh my God, that's so amazing. And so then after I messaged her back, I said, do you feel how much you're loved?
Yes. So great. Well, and also for her to realize, you know, even if she hadn't lost the 2 inches, right, as you had talked about to her on the phone, was what other things have you noticed, right? Well,
so that was the thing. So she had, when we first started, she wasn't exercising regularly. Okay. She was now exercising 3 times a week. She was now going for walks 4 other days a week. She was now eating breakfast. She wasn't eting breakfast before. And I was like, you have hit so many milestones of things that you've been struggling with. But it came down to, but
exactly.
I haven't, and I was like, it's one step, things have to change before you get, you know, the big gold star.
For sure. Well, and the thing is that we all know so much is that it's like the weight loss or the inches is like that tip of the iceberg, right? Exactly. And before any physical changes, a lot of the time even can happen, it has to come from so many other things. And that allowing for, like even you said, the fact that I value myself as worthy of losing weight, gaining strength, energy, etc. That, you know, that even has to come before, would you say?
Yep. Well, I did tell her, I said to her, so have you been journaling regularly? She goes, about 60% of the time. I said, okay, so let's work a little bit more on that. And I said, so I have, the homework is 2 minutes in the morning and 2 minutes in the evening. I try to make it as simple as possible. Because as soon as you give a woman one more thing to do, they're like, oh my God, right?
That's going to be the straw that broke the camel's back.
Exactly. So in the morning, you're going to write down one affirmation. So basically it's a goal that they want to achieve, but they're going to write it down in the present tense as if it's already been, it's already been reached. And then one thing that they're grateful for. Wonderful. And in the evening, all they have to do is write one thing that they can celebrate. And I say them very clear. I said, and this is especially important when you've had the crappiest day in the world. You can't imagine, but you did something. Whether it was you remembered to pick up your kid from school.
Exactly. Pat on the back for that one.
Right? You had an extra serving of vegetables. Whatever, there's got to be this constant, you have to remind yourself of there always are things to celebrate. And I think doing that on a constant basis is also part of reminding you how valuable you are. Because if you weren't doing the things that you're doing every day that you don't think of as of any value, you know, your family wouldn't be where it's at right now. Your kids would not be where they at right now. Your home would not be where it's at right now.
Beautiful.
You are extremely valuable as a person, as a part of the family, as a mother, as everything.
So
and
true.
That's why that's so important. And I really make sure that I try and hammer it into heads that is, I'd rather you do that every day and skip a workout.
Yes, thank you. Amen to that. That's beautiful. And you know what? It's such a good point that you make there, because there are things every day to celebrate. And unless you do have a practice around writing it down or seeking for it and then validating it by writing it out, you can go days and weeks and months only noticing on that negative, right? And what didn't go right. And I think that's brilliant that you have that as a strategy for your clients to do on a daily basis, because then they're starting to seek, oh, what else can I celebrate? Ooh, I'm going to write that down tonight because I did this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For sure.
That is so great.
I actually had one woman say, she goes, oh, but I don't want to brag.
Oh my goodness. To her journal?
Yeah, to her journal. And then I said, post it in the group. I don't want to brag. I said, can you please? You're not bragging.
Yeah.
Jump up and down. I said, and again, it's like, what would you say to a kid? I said, well, when the other women say stuff in there, I said, do you think they're bragging? She goes, no, it's amazing to see. I said, yeah,
good
people
one.
see stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it's the celebrating, right? And again, it's just our conditioning that we shouldn't be, oh, who do we think we are, boasting about all this
Exactly.
stuff. And it's like, okay, fair, but I'm going to guarantee that none of those women posting in there about, yay, I lost this, or yay, I had a great day with this, are going to be that boastful nature. It's going to be the opposite. And you're right, to have the value in yourself to post something like that and then basically just wait for people to go, yay, high five, way to go, woohoo. That takes a lot of courage, I would say. Yeah.
It does. Like,
which is a great practice.
It's quite often that I have to remind people, that is, I want you to be there, because not only do I want you to help support others, which they have no problem doing.
Of course not. Yeah.
No problem at all.
Yeah.
But I also want you to allow others to support you and remind you of how amazing you are.
It is a tough, we do this for so many years. And my mom, who I adore, love, all the things so much, I still listen to her. She was visiting me on the weekend, and my stepdad wasn't with us. He was on the phone. He was telling her on FaceTime, so cute. They've been married for over 20 years, says to her, oh my, you look so glowing and beautiful, right? And her response, which I was waiting for, which is thank you, didn't end up coming. It was, oh, well, isn't that weird? I don't feel that glowing. And then she went on some diatribe about how not good she feels. And I go to her, no, when someone compliments you, you say thank you. And that is so hard. Yeah, an end of story, right? Not justifying. Yes. And it's so difficult for us, right? It's just our natural as women, because that's what we think. Oh my gosh, if I said thank you, he's going to be like, oh, whoa, doesn't she think she's great today? And it's like, no, he thinks you think you're, or he thinks you should think you're greater. Exactly. Yeah. So that's really, really great points to bring up. Thank you, Sam. You are just such a wise woman with such great experiences, so much knowledge on the pelvic floor. I love everything that you've done with Bellies Inc. and with your core training. I mean, you're such an inspiration to me and so many. Is there anything else you want to add before we finish up this podcast here today, Sam?
I would just, I don't want to, oh gosh. I guess I just want to say that, women, my biggest struggle and my biggest frustration is that women are struggling so much in themselves. Like what we just finished talking about, is that you are worth it, and you are worth the investment, whether it's money, time, energy, whatever it is, because you wouldn't think twice if it was a friend or a family member or your child. Please do not wait until, you get injured or ill, or because those who love you, who are around you, want what's best for you as well. Yes. And if you could really just take a step back and treat yourself the way you treat your children.
Yes. Beautiful.
Or the other ones that you love, it would, you're not going to be sorry that you did.
No, it's a worthy investment for sure.
Absolutely. 100%.
So well said. Yes. Thank you so much, Sam. This was amazing.
My pleasure.
Thanks for being here.
This was really, really great talking. And, like I said, I get pretty passionate about it and excited.
I love it. And you have so much great info to share. I will make sure I link up everything in the show notes. You'll be able to find Sam and connect with her and all her wisdom online. Thank you so much, Sam. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks so much, Jen.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And there you have it, FitMama, my interview with Sam, core trainer. You will find all the links in the show notes of this episode, and you can find her online so that you can get inspired by her regularly. She does amazing things for millions of women, and she's really, really an inspiration. So I really am so glad that she was with us, and I'm glad that you got the opportunity to listen to her wisdom. Thank you, FitMama, for being here. Have a fantastic day. Share this episode with a friend, encourage them, and know that you are not alone on your journey in motherhood. Have a great day, FitMama. Namaste.